December 22, 2023, News Report 1, China issues new regulations, adjusts online game management measures. On December 22, the National Press and Publication Administration of China released the latest regulations on online game management, comprehensively standardizing the industry. The new rules explicitly state that online games cannot offer inducement rewards such as daily logins, first-time recharges, or consecutive recharges. Several aspects are detailed, including the prohibition of publishing units engaging in speculation, auctions, or other ways of selling in-game items. In-game item transactions have been a significant business model in the gaming industry. Furthermore, the regulations require various warnings in games, including consumption warnings to remind players of their gaming time. It specifies that excessive rewards for online game live streaming are not allowed, especially for minors who are prohibited from giving rewards. Additionally, converting in-game currency to real currency is not permitted to prevent individuals from maintaining a living through gaming. These regulations have been interpreted as disruptive to the gaming industry's business models, directly impacting the profit models of gaming companies. Upon the release of the new regulations, shares of gaming companies listed in Hong Kong experienced a rapid decline. Tencent's stock price dropped by 38 Hong Kong dollars, a decrease of 12.3%, NetEase fell by 40 Hong Kong dollars, a 25% decrease, and Shindong Company experienced a 19% decline. Investors expressed concerns about the business environment, reflecting economic difficulties, and the stringent restrictions on the business environment causing market unrest. Analysts point out that these regulations will have a significant impact on Chinese gaming companies, forcing them to completely change their profit models to adapt to the new rules. However, some critics argue that the Chinese Communist Party is effectively undermining the gaming industry, which is worth trillions, and this move is seen as a harsh approach, especially given the severe losses the gaming industry has suffered from previous interventions. News Report 2, U.S. Ambassador accuses China of lack of cooperation in aerospace field. On December 12, U.S. Ambassador Burns participated in a meeting of the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations via video and addressed issues related to Sino-U.S. cooperation in the aerospace field. He stated that China seems unwilling to cooperate with the United States in lunar exploration, turning space development into a competitive arena between the two countries. Burns reiterated on December 15 that the U.S. and China are currently discussing the renewal of their technology cooperation agreement, but he expressed uncertainty about the prospects for renewal, implying that signing might face difficulties. In April of this year, NASA Administrator Nelson expressed concerns about the U.S. and China being in a space race, especially in lunar exploration. He feared that China might claim the moon's south pole as its territory while accusing China of lacking transparency in its aerospace plans and only cooperating with Russia. Nelson mentioned that, according to U.S. law, the United States cannot cooperate with China in the aerospace field. In response, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin, on December 22, stated during a routine press conference that the continuous introduction of laws restricting exchanges and cooperation in the Sino-U.S. aerospace field and unilateral sanctions against Chinese companies by the United States is the fundamental reason for the difficulties in Sino-U.S. space cooperation. He pointed out that this practice poses significant challenges to Sino-U.S. aerospace cooperation. News Report 3, Hong Kong court rules to continue trial of Jimmy Lai case, some charges spark controversy. On December 22, the West Kowloon Court in Hong Kong ruled against the application to withdraw the charge of incitement filed by the lawyer of Jimmy Lai, founder of Apple Daily. The case is scheduled to continue trial on January 2 next year. Jimmy Lai was prosecuted under the Hong Kong version of the national security law, involving charges of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and incitement. During the trial, Jimmy Lai's lawyer, Peng Yu-hung, argued that Apple Daily published its last newspaper on June 24, 2021. Jimmy Lai was sued on December 18, 2021, a gap of 6 years and 4 days. According to the law, the validity of the lawsuit is 6 months, so the application was made to withdraw the charges. Peng Yuheng accused the court of having a timing issue in accepting the prosecutor's letter, claiming it was sent on December 13, but the court did not receive it until later. In this case, Jimmy Lai faces 3 charges, including conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and incitement. Among them, the charge related to the national security law carries the highest penalty of the death penalty. The ruling has sparked controversy, with some questioning the fairness of the court proceedings, suggesting it may affect judicial justice and social justice. News Report 4, EU pays €15 billion aid to Ukraine, US and EU negotiate support for Ukraine's reconstruction. On December 21, the European Union made the final aid payment of €15 billion to Ukraine for the year. However, starting from 2023, the EU will no longer provide assistance, raising concerns about Ukraine's macroeconomic stability and infrastructure reconstruction. During the EU summit, the European Commission proposed providing €500 billion in aid to Ukraine from 2023 to 2027, receiving support from all member states except Hungary. Hungary's opposition led to the proposal not gaining unanimous approval, causing internal divisions within the EU. Some EU officials are considering triggering Article 7 of the EU Alliance Treaty, terminating Hungary's voting rights within the EU. However, the action is slow. Hungary is one of the few opposing countries, complicating negotiations and decision-making within the EU. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the EU has provided a total of €85 billion in economic assistance to Ukraine. However, facing reduced assistance from the US and the EU, as well as internal disagreements leading to delays in aid plans, the level of assistance from the Western world is being questioned. In this context, the US and EU are considering unlocking $3 trillion in assets from the Russian central bank to support Ukraine. News Report 5, Taiwan Vice Presidential Candidates TV Policy Forum, Dialogue Focus, Online Opinion Battle. With only 23 days left until the Taiwan presidential election, the 3 vice presidential candidates participated in a televised policy forum. The candidates are Tsai Ing-wen from the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, Eric Chu from the Kuomintang, KMT, and Wu Hsien from the People First Party. Tsai criticized the KMT for promoting the idea that the Republic of China will perish, urging for elections to achieve more democracy, progress, and unity instead of societal division. She emphasized that the vice president is a standby head of state, not a president overseeing the KMT. Chu responded to the criticism, stating that Tsai's remarks were untrue and accusing her running mate, Lai Ching-te. He mentioned the return of Xia Liyan and likened the KMT to a fighter jet, suggesting that Xia Liyan's visits to the mainland would aid in formulating detailed plans and urging support for their side. Wu Hsien focused on economic and healthcare policies during her speech, suggesting the establishment of a sovereign wealth fund for overseas investments to subsidize Taiwan's health and insurance. She emphasized the need to increase healthcare spending and raise the salaries of medical personnel. In terms of online public opinion, Ko Wen-jae actively increased his visibility through TikTok, attracting the attention of young people. Data shows that TikTok has 4.6 million users in Taiwan, with 35.7% being young people aged 18 to 29. Ko Wen-jae uses TikTok to convey positive messages, influencing the choices of young voters. At the same time, experts point out that the Chinese government criticizes the DPP through negative tags on TikTok, engaging in cognitive warfare that affects the Taiwan election. News Report 6, International Atomic Energy Agency confirms operation of new nuclear reactor in North Korea. According to Agence France-Presse, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, issued a statement on December 21, confirming that North Korea's new hydrogen-water nuclear reactor at the Yongbyon Nuclear Research Center has been completed and is operational. The reactor is emitting warm water, indicating that it is undergoing testing. The Yongbyon Nuclear Research Center is located 100 kilometers north of Pyongyang. The new reactor has a capacity of 5 megawatts and can separate different elements, some of which can be used in the production of nuclear weapons. The IAEA pointed out that this hydrogen-water reactor is larger than its predecessor, significantly enhancing North Korea's production capacity of nuclear elements. Earlier this year, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for an increase in the production of military-grade nuclear materials to multiply the number of nuclear weapons. In recent months, observers have become increasingly concerned that North Korea may conduct another nuclear test. North Korea has conducted 6 nuclear tests since 2006, with the most recent one in September 2017. Recently, North Korea tested an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, that covers the entire United States. This has raised concerns in the international community about North Korea's nuclear activities. News Report 7, Israel destroys extensive Hamas tunnel network. On the evening of December 21, the Israel Defense Forces announced that it had successfully destroyed the largest tunnel system of Hamas in the city of Gaza. This tunnel network was hidden in the residential areas where senior Hamas officials live, connecting their homes and offices. The tunnel system was located beneath Palestine Square in the Mall Street area of Gaza City, primarily housing residences of senior Hamas officials. Videos showed that the explosion instantly filled a large area of Palestine Square with flames and thick smoke, highlighting the scale of this massive tunnel network. Hamas continued to launch rocket attacks on Israeli cities, and air raid sirens extended from Ashkelon in the north of Gaza to Tel Aviv. Israel's Iron Dome defense system successfully intercepted most of the rockets, but 2 missiles hit Tel Aviv and the southern city of Ashdod. As of now, there are no reports of casualties. The Israel Defense Forces announced that 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in combat in the northern Gaza Strip. In this conflict, Israel's ground attacks on Hamas resulted in the deaths of 137 armed Hamas members, according to the Jerusalem Post. News Report 8, Trump exposed pressuring Michigan State Board of Canvassers members. The Detroit News reported that multiple recorded phone conversations reveal former U.S. President Trump pressuring 2 Republican members of the Michigan State Board of Canvassers within 2 weeks after the 2020 presidential election, urging them not to certify the election results. The calls involved Trump discussing his loss in Michigan. In the calls, Trump told the board members, "We have to fight for our country, we can't let these people take our country away from us." The recordings also included the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, Ron Weiser, telling the 2 board members that they would receive legal support if they refused to sign the certification documents. Trump agreed with Weiser's statement in the call, stating, "We will get it done." The exposed phone recordings show signs of Trump attempting to manipulate election results unlawfully. Trump currently faces multiple federal lawsuits and is set to go on trial in Washington in March next year. News Report 9, China's Judgment Documents website faces criticism for lack of updates. Since the beginning of this year, China's Judgment Documents website has almost stopped updating new judgment documents, and old documents are being revoked, leading to a series of criticisms in society. The China Judgment Documents website is a unified platform for the public release of judgment documents by national courts, established by the Supreme People's Court in 2013, and is one of the 3 major platforms for judicial openness. The website has so far recorded 134 million court documents and is open to the public. However, the head of the Supreme People's Court stated in a press conference on December 22 that judicial openness does not mean that all judicial information should be published online. He claimed that openness and disclosure should not be equated, emphasizing that the establishment of a case database is to prevent the abuse of documents for confrontational counter-lawsuits, rather than making all documents public. The case database was established in July this year, and so far, it has included more than 2 million cases. However, it is not open to the public but only to experts, scholars, lawyers, and parties involved. This practice has raised some questions, with some people believing that judicial openness is regressing to the starting point. News Report 10, concerns rise over GN1 variant of COVID-19, detected in wastewater. The GN1 variant of the novel coronavirus, associated with a doubling trend, is detected in wastewater in multiple countries. Scientists suspect that GN1 specifically targets the patient's intestines, unlike previous variants that primarily attacked the lungs or upper respiratory tract. Savarna, the head of the World Health Organization's Influenza Center, pointed out that the proportion of the GN1 virus detected in wastewater is as high as when Omicron first appeared. Although there is no report of an increase in hospitalizations, experts say continued monitoring is needed. Virologist Tevel in Sydney believes that the novel coronavirus has changed the conditions for invading cells, making it potentially more susceptible to infecting intestinal tissues. Data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that as of December 18, 29% of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the United States were infected with GN1, and hospitalizations are rapidly increasing. On December 19, the World Health Organization classified GN1 as a variant of concern, warning of its potential rapid spread in the Northern Hemisphere. However, the latest COVID-19 vaccines are reportedly effective against GN1. Please be vigilant for symptoms of intestinal discomfort and undergo testing promptly, especially after vaccination. News Report 11, Winter Solstice brings record low temperatures to China. December 22 marks the winter solstice, and China continues to be influenced by cold air. Many areas in Guangdong province have set new lows in temperatures for decades, including Chonghua district in Guangzhou dropping to -1.6 degrees Celsius, the coldest winter solstice in the area in the last decade. Tianhe district in Guangzhou recorded a minimum temperature of 4 degrees Celsius, the coldest winter solstice in 6 years. Further north, temperatures are even lower, with Pingyuan reaching 0 degrees Celsius, affecting more than 80% of the country's territory with freezing conditions. Shanghai experienced temperatures below zero throughout the day, with the lowest temperature in the city dropping to -3 degrees Celsius, expected to be the coldest December in 40 years. Beijing's temperature dropped to -10 degrees Celsius, and citizens are preparing for the winter solstice and holiday, with restaurants stocking up on food. A dumpling restaurant owner opened early by an hour and a half, expecting sales on the day of the winter solstice to be 6 times higher than usual. In northern regions during the winter solstice, barbecue, lamb skewers, and tangyuan, sweet rice dumplings, become popular choices, while in the south, eating tangyuan is a common tradition. Due to the cold weather, some residents choose to stay home to make dumplings or have hot pot. The Hong Kong Observatory recorded a minimum temperature of 8.6 degrees Celsius, and citizens chose to stay home for hot pot or travel to places like Shenzhen. Overall, the winter solstice, a traditional festival, becomes a moment for people to enjoy family or travel, indulge in food, and reunite.